Do you like a good hearty vegetable beef stew? If you do, then stick around because that's what I'm going to be cooking this afternoon. I'm Clint and I like to cook. You guys come along with me and I'm going to show you how I cook it. Okay, so what I've done is I've taken roughly 3 pounds of a beef chuck roast and I've cut it up into about 1 inch pieces, about that size right there. And I've got my iron skillet heating up. I'm going to let it get real hot because I want to put a sear on all sides of this meat. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in there and we're going to start browning that up. You can probably hear that sizzle, and that's what we want. We want to have that skillet hot because we want to put a nice sear on all sides of this. We'll let it just kind of sit there just a minute and go ahead and just sear on the side, and we'll turn it here and there. Now this is not going to fully cook this meat. We're just putting a sear on the outside of it. That kind of helps retain all your flavor in that. So we'll go ahead and finish up with that. All right, so we got the meat browned up, got it out of the skillet, set it off to the side. So I moved my Dutch oven over here onto the heat, and I've got it set on about a medium heat right now. So I'm going to go ahead and add a couple tablespoons of olive oil. I've taken 1 large onion and quartered it up and then cut it into just a little smaller pieces about like that. So we're going to add that to that. I've taken 3 carrots, skinned them, and just cut them into pieces about like that right there. I'm going to go ahead and add that. And then 5 cloves of freshly minced garlic. We're going to add that in there. And I'm just going to kind of cook that for, I don't know, 5 to 7 minutes or so. Just stir that around. Let that oil kind of get on everything and start cooking that down just a little bit. We give that about 5 minutes or so. So now I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of a tomato paste. I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of thyme and 2 teaspoons of Worcestershire sauce. And we're just going to stir all that around. Let that get blended in well. This is smelling good already. Once again, I'm cooking this on about a medium heat. I'm going to leave it on medium through this step right here. I've let that cook down for 2 to 3 minutes or so. So now what I want to do is just add about a half a cup of beef broth. And I want to just stir that around in that. Probably for 2 to 3 minutes and just kind of let that warm up. I've given that a couple minutes to cook. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add 1/4 cup of all-purpose flour. And I'm going to stir that around and just kind of let that coat everything. It'll kind of start thickening that up just a little bit. Just stir it maybe about a minute. Just make sure everything's good and coated. All right. Now what I want to do is everything's mixed in there good. I want to go ahead and pour about 4 cups of beef broth in that. All right, now we're going to just continue stirring that, and we're going to bring that up to heat. All right, so we've let that heat up a little bit, and that's starting to thicken up just a little bit. So what we want to do now is let's go ahead and put our meat back in there. We'll get that meat. Now I've taken 3 golden potatoes, and I've skinned them, and I've cut them up into all bite-sized pieces about like that. That is about a medium-sized potatoes. We're going to add that in there. I cut up 1 pound of fresh green beans. I've washed them off, cut the ends off of them, cut them up into pieces about like that. Roughly about 1 pound. You don't have to do that much if you don't want it. I'm going to go ahead and add that in there. We're going to go ahead and give that a stir. Kind of blend everything in. Now it looks like a lot in here, but all these vegetables will, shrink as they cook. So we'll go ahead and stir this around for 3 or 4 minutes, kind of let it warm up. All right, so this has been kind of warming up for 2 or 3 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take me a couple bay leaves, and I'm going to add to that. I'm just going to kind of work that down in there. Now it's up to you guys however much broth you want to add in here. If you like it real soupy, you can always add more broth. If you like it really thick, not quite as much. It's personal preference. So what I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to let this come up to a boil on the stove top. So we're going to give this just a few more minutes, and it should be back up to a boil here. All right, we about got this almost back up to a boil. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add a little bit of salt. And we're going to go ahead and add some black pepper to taste. I like black pepper. I think it helps out the flavor. We'll go ahead and give that a stir. Work that in. You can always add you a little more if you need it. I wouldn't go real heavy on the salt at first, because once you get it in there, it's hard to get it back out. All right, we're going to give that just a few more minutes and let it come to a good boil. So what I did was bring that back up to a boil, and I put my lid on my Dutch oven. Now I'm going to let that finish cooking in the oven. So I've set it at 375 degrees, and I'm going to let it cook in there for about 1.5 to 1.45 minutes. So when that gets done, I'll bring it out and show you what it looks like. It's been about 1.45 minutes, so we're going to go ahead and get this out of the oven. We're going to see how it looks. Tell you what, it smells good already. Oh my goodness. That looks delicious. I tell you what, let's go ahead and get some of this in a bowl. I'm gonna tell y'all what, it don't get much better than that right there. There we go, guys. It doesn't get much better than that right there. And one thing I did do right before this got done is I had some leftover black-eyed peas. I went ahead and just put those in there because they were already cooked. I give them about 10 to 15 minutes in there just to kind of warm up in the pot. But you can add whatever vegetables that you prefer in this. Give it a try. It's not going to disappoint, I promise. Thank you so much for all your support, and God bless.